And welcome back to our 12 News Debate as we sit down and get ready to get answers from the Democratic candidates who want to be the next Jefferson County Sheriff. Well, the Black Lives Matter movement gained nationwide momentum because of instances in which activists said policing was too harsh or heavy-handed, that there was racial bias in enforcement. Does Jefferson County have issues in its race relations? And if so, how could you improve race relations in the county? For this, we start with Ms. Stevens for this round. Ms. Stevens?
Well, every community has race relations problems. I think it would be naive for us not to, acknowledge that. I think the important thing is for us to get out as law enforcement officers and communicate with people in the community, engage. We need to teach our officers and teach the community how to communicate with each other. I think that the important issue is trust. There's a lack of trust and transparency, across the nation, and we've got to restore trust in the community with law enforcement. Until we do that, until we get back into the communities and make them understand that we have a job to do and teach them how the job is to be done correctly, we're going to continue to have those problems.
Mr. Carroll?
I agree with Ms. Stevens. One of the issues we have in our community, just like all across the United States, we do have race issues. We need to address them. We need to address them before we have a crisis, because we cannot address them during the crisis. By doing this, we need to build bridges. We need to change the, our methodology of policing to a community policing model in which we work together to solve these issues, to build relationships. If you have relationships, you can avoid crisis. You can also, use those relationships to address issues long before they ever occur and become to the firing point. This is what we need to do, is reach out to the community. We need to reach out and build these bridges. And we need to, have communication. And communication is a capital C word with two-way communication.
Mr. Stevenson?
Well, obviously it is a nationwide problem. I think the public is more disappointed when agencies try to cover up brutality cases or excessive force cases and still addressing them, holding officers fully accountable, departmental policy-wise, and also criminal-wise too. But I was in the interview today and told them that we are going to have to win back the trust of the public, not just locally. I'm speaking nationwide because this thing, it has to stop somewhere. But I think with more officers being held accountable, I think that would kind of heal the wound between the public and law enforcement, so to speak. So I believe in accountability, me, myself, fully.
The political races have not just been fascinating in Jefferson County, nationwide as well. Certainly been a memorable political season. The age of the outsider, so to speak, Donald Trump, Senator Bernie Sanders. Do you feel that there is a discontent with local Jefferson County voters, as there seems to have been nationwide? And are you an insider? And we start for this one with Mr. Stevenson.
Well, I don't think it's anything wrong with the way the elections are going right now. I'm so focused in on the local election, I don't have time to be looking at the national election because I'm trying to get elected myself and trying to have the right approach to convince 50% of the people here to elect me. How Donald Trump rolling and other candidates, I haven't really paid much attention to that. If I answered your question.
Okay.
I'm trying to defeat these two qualified candidates next to me. So.
Ms. Stevens?
Yes, I do believe that voters, there is a level of discontentment among voters. It's the whole political arena, again, has created an environment of distrust for politicians, and that trickles down to even our election. And so we're spending a lot of time, I'm spending a lot of time re-engaging in the community and making sure that they know that I'm going to be a transparent sheriff, that it's important for them to recognize that leaders lead by example. And so I think voters don't believe that that's been the case in the past. I think the voters across the country and locally, with what has happened even here in our community, believe that politicians have agendas. Personally, I believe a sheriff's race should be non-political. I think our job is to go out and protect and serve the community and lead police officers and corrections officers to do that professionally.
And Mr. Carroll?
I agree. I think people are discontented across the United States with the government, and they look at the government as, from legislature to law enforcement. I believe we need to change things. We need to address these issues. We need to build trust. We need to have transparency in our issues that we deal with on a daily basis. This is only going to come, the government is us. The plain and simple is when we realize that, and we can change the government at any point in time at election time. And that is the key aspect of the American dream, is that the power of the voter to address these issues at every election.
All right, thank you so much. The evolving technology. Have you or would you support spending more for things like deputy body cams, especially in light of some of the incidents around the country in which law enforcement decisions have been called into question at times? We begin with this technology question and what you would be willing to spend more money for with Mr. Carroll.
No, I agree with technology. I think we need more technology. It makes our jobs, work smarter, not harder. I believe in the body cams. It will show people what actually took place. It also will keep the officers in checks and balances. They know they're being recorded, just as, in 1990, when the first video was put in, the camera was put in a patrol car. I remember that. But it helps. It helps the jury to see what took place. It helps people that after an incident has occurred to review it. I've shown many a videotape to a parent after a traffic stop to show what the behavior of their child was. And it's always interesting for them to see what they were told and what actually happened. But that's part of the professionals. We need to be transparent. We need to address these issues. And we need to let people see what really goes on the street.
Ms. Stevens?
Yes, I guess the answer to that question is twofold. I believe in technology, but I don't want police officers or anyone in the community to get consumed with technology. Technology is a good thing. As we just saw in Chicago, we had body cameras and they didn't turn the cameras on. I think equipment and technology is only as good as the policies that we have, that we create, and that we enforce and hold officers accountable for. And so if you have technology, if you have body cameras and you don't have a policy and enforce a policy to turn them on like many agencies, and they don't show what you need them to show. I believe that technology, body cameras, protect officers. There are many good officers that go to work every day and do a great job. Also, the few bad officers, that technology in the sense of the cameras, it's going to show us when our officers are not being professional. So technology is good, but I think we need to keep it simple and not consume ourselves with too much technology.
And Mr. Stevenson?
I agree with Chief Stevens fully. And Rod, also, I think one thing the body camera would do, it would keep the county from a lot of liabilities on lawsuits and things like that and false accusations. And it's for officer safety too, because a lot of accusations that are made against officers, certain things didn't even take place. Then a lot of things officers cover up that did take place, but I'm thinking if an officer failed to activate his camera or tamper with it, once again, I think he or she should be held accountable for that, because that can be a big liability on that county or that city. And if anything that you can put in place to better serve the public and protect the officer and the agency too, I am very much in favor of that.
Thanks for the insight. We appreciate it. To all of you, another round in this debate quickly over. Abuse of power at the Jefferson County Jail. We continue our questioning in just a moment, only here on 12 News.